True patience isn't learned in comfort. It's carved through time, trials, and trust in the unseen. Patience is not something elders read in a book or pick up in a seminar. It's something they absorb through lived experience, slowly over decades of joy, failure, loss, and waiting. It is the accumulation of days that don't go as planned, careers that take detours, relationships that require mending, and health that teaches surrender. To the youth, patience seems like a delay, a denial of action. But to elders, it's a higher form of intelligence, an understanding that timing, not just action, determines the quality of outcomes. The difference is perspective. Young people often live in short-term units, semesters, paychecks, social media cycles. Elders live in seasons, years, decades. They've witnessed how time reshapes everything. Anger softens, wounds heal, love deepens, and problems that once seemed catastrophic shrink into minor footnotes. When an elder says, "Give it time," they don't mean to ignore the issue. They mean time is an active agent in solving it. The first lesson elders understand about patience is that it's not about doing nothing. It's about doing the right thing at the right time. A farmer doesn't plant a seed and then dig it up every day to see if it's growing. He waters it, tends to the soil, waits for the sun and the rain to do their work. Elders have learned that people, opportunities, and emotions grow at their own pace, just like seeds. Pushing too hard, too fast breaks more than it builds. When youth pursue something, a job, a partner, a dream, they want it now, and why not? The world promises speed, fast internet, fast delivery, fast fame. But elders have seen the cost of this speed. They've watched people burn out, relationships fall apart under pressure, and shortcuts that lead nowhere. They've learned that the fastest route is rarely the most fulfilling. They value depth over speed, and depth takes time. Elders have failed. They've made hasty decisions and lived with the consequences. They've spoken too soon, left too early, trusted too quickly. These mistakes didn't ruin them, they taught them. And those lessons built a quiet, deep patience, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself. Patience to them is not weakness, it's power under control. Let's talk about relationships. Youth want immediate chemistry, instant connections, perfect alignment. Elders know relationships are not built in moments, they're built in years. They've stayed in marriages that had seasons of cold silence and seasons of rekindled joy. They've raised children who didn't always understand them, but came back around later with love and appreciation. Elders understand that love isn't just a feeling, it's a decision made daily, especially when it's hard. That takes patience. Friendship, too, changes with age. Young people often expect constant communication. A friend who doesn't text back quickly is seen as distant. Elders are used to gaps. A friend may disappear for months, and when they return, it's like nothing changed. Because real friendship, they know, doesn't depend on frequency. It depends on consistency. Patience is what holds the bond together across years and distance. Professionally, youth want meaning, impact, and recognition early. Elders wanted those too, once, but they've seen how long mastery takes. The first few years in any job are learning years. Mistakes, corrections, low pay. But elders who stuck with it through the boredom, the routine, the moments of doubt, found that excellence sneaks up on you after years of quiet diligence. They know now, success isn't found in moments of brilliance, but in long-term resilience. The elder has seen layoffs, office politics, recessions. They've experienced being overlooked, underpaid, and misunderstood. They've learned that the workplace doesn't owe them fairness, but they owe themselves patience. They've grown skills slowly, earned trust inch by inch, and climbed not through noise but through value. Youth seek acceleration, elders trust accumulation. Health is a major classroom for patience. A young person may bounce back from injury in days. An elder takes weeks, sometimes months. They become fluent in the language of small wins, being able to walk again without pain, sleep through the night, lift a bag of groceries. They know now that the body listens to time, not willpower. And so they listen too. They pace themselves. They rest without guilt. They trust their body not to be perfect, but to respond eventually. This bodily patience extends to emotional healing. Elders have grieved deeply. The death of parents, partners, siblings. The pain doesn't vanish, but over time they find a different relationship with it. They don't try to move on, but move with their grief. Youth often want closure. Elders know some wounds never close. They become part of your landscape. Patience helps you walk with them, gently. Spiritually, patience is transformative. Many elders have wrestled with questions of faith, purpose, meaning. They've sat in silence, in doubt, in loss. And from that stillness emerged something unshakable. Not answers, but trust. Not a map, but a compass. They understand that clarity often comes not in lightning, but in whispers. And whispers require quiet, time, space, patience. Another thing elders know, everything changes. The job you thought was essential becomes irrelevant. The person who broke your heart becomes a stranger. The home you built becomes too big, too quiet. Life doesn't just evolve, it dissolves and rebuilds constantly. Youth resist this. Elders embrace it, because they've learned that loss makes space for new beginnings. That endings are not failures, they're transitions, and transitions, like seasons, can't be rushed. Many elders speak less and listen more, not because they don't have things to say, but because they've learned the value of waiting, letting others express, watching the full picture unfold before jumping in. They've seen how impulsive words can damage relationships, how silence can invite truth, and how presence often matters more than advice. Patience has made them better communicators, not just better listeners. Elders also understand that not everything needs to be fixed. Youth want to solve, repair, correct. Elders have lived through enough unsolvable problems to know that some things are better accepted than changed. They've seen people try to force outcomes, push adult children into careers, rush healing in a partner, demand closure from someone not ready to give it. They've learned peace comes not from control, but from acceptance. And acceptance is the deepest form of patience. They are also better at waiting for the right moment. The young often feel pressure to act quickly, say yes before the opportunity vanishes, confess feelings before the chance is lost, make decisions without full information. Elders have missed opportunities too, but more often they've watched bad timing ruin good intentions. They now believe in readiness, in ripeness, in kairos, time that is qualitative, not just chronological. They wait for the moment when the heart, the mind, and the world align. That moment rarely shouts, it whispers. Technology has made impatience a norm. Instant feedback, real-time updates. Elders remember letters, payphones, waiting in lines, watching the clock. They've been bored and discovered that boredom is where creativity is born. They didn't fill every empty second with scrolling. They daydreamed, they reflected, they paid attention. That slow space between moments taught them presence. Today's youth often skip that lesson. Financially, elders have seen bubbles burst, real estate crashes, stock market panics. They've learned not to chase quick returns. They value stability over spikes. They save slowly, invest carefully, and spend thoughtfully. They don't measure wealth just by numbers, but by freedom. They waited decades to retire, and now they enjoy a kind of peace the fast life never offered. Elders also practice a unique kind of forgiveness. Slow forgiveness. Not forced, not fake, but the kind that ripens over time, that lets go without denying the pain. Youth want closure in weeks. Elders sometimes take years. But when they forgive, it's deep, clean, and permanent. They've seen that holding on to bitterness is a slow poison. They let go, not to excuse, but to live. With children and grandchildren, elders show immense patience. They've learned that teaching is not about talking, but modeling. They let the child stumble, struggle, ask questions, discover. They resist the urge to control. They know learning is not delivered, it's uncovered. And that takes time. Most of all, elders have made peace with time itself. They no longer race it, they walk beside it. They've stopped counting every minute and started savoring moments. A cup of tea, a quiet evening, a walk in the park. Time to them is not a commodity, it's a companion. And that changes everything. Patience is no longer something they practice. It is who they are. A product of years, shaped by trials, polished by disappointments, deepened by joy. It's not just about waiting. It's about how you wait, with grace, with strength, with openness. So when an elder tells you, be patient, don't roll your eyes, listen, you're not just hearing advice. You're hearing a lifetime summarized in 2 words. 2 words that took 60, 70, even 80 years to understand. How do they embody it, teach it, and pass it on? Not through lectures, but through behavior, silence, stories, and choices. Patience is not just what they know, it's what they live, and what they model speaks louder than what they say. Let's begin with storytelling. Elders don't rush stories, they let a tale breathe. Their pacing may seem slow to young ears, but within that slowness lies detail, reflection, and truth. When a grandparent tells you how they once waited 5 years before their business finally made a profit, or how they were rejected from 3 universities before being accepted, they are not just sharing events. They are transmitting a deeper lesson. Things worth having take time. Patience is embedded not in the message, but in the rhythm of the message. This is also how wisdom is preserved. The story format slows the listener down. In a world where youth are addicted to highlights, to quick inspirational quotes, to TikTok-length attention spans, elders insist on the long form. Their stories often don't have a punchline, they have a journey. They expect you to walk with them, not race ahead. And in that walk, they gift you with the value of delayed conclusions. Elders also teach patience through their rituals. Watch how they prepare their tea, how they fold laundry, how they tend a garden. These aren't chores to them, they are acts of mindfulness. These rituals are repetitive, yes, but never mechanical. They are meditative. They are rooted in slowness. Youth often try to optimize every task. How fast can I finish? Elders ask, how deep can I experience it? Their presence in the small moments teaches that life doesn't rush meaning. It reveals it slowly to those who stay long enough to notice. Consider how elders parent or grandparent. They don't correct every mistake immediately. They allow learning through experience. A child spills milk, and instead of snapping, they guide the child to clean it. They know from raising their own children that overreaction teaches fear, while patience builds trust. Where youth see mess, elders see a lesson in progress. They value the process more than perfection, because they've seen that character grows not when everything goes right, but when someone is allowed to try, fail, and try again, safely. This is a kind of generational patience. Elders plant seeds in people, knowing they may never see the fruit. A grandfather might teach financial wisdom to a grandson who seems distracted. A grandmother may pass on a recipe to a disinterested teen, but they do it anyway, because they understand. Lessons often bloom long after they're taught. Patience means giving without guarantee, loving without demand, teaching without immediate results. They also demonstrate emotional patience. They don't escalate arguments quickly. They've learned that not every comment deserves a reaction. That silence can be more powerful than rebuttal. In tense moments, youth feel the need to do something now. Elders have learned to wait it out. Time reveals intention. Emotions settle. And often the problem that felt urgent yesterday looks foolish today. This patience allows them to hold space for others. Elders can sit with someone grieving and say nothing, not because they don't care, but because they do. They understand that presence is healing, that there is power in simply being there. In youth, we want to fix, advise, explain. Elders have learned that healing isn't always about answers. It's about endurance. Patience creates room for another person's pain without controlling it. In conversations, elders also listen more deeply. While the young may interrupt, eager to respond, elders let others finish, even if it takes longer. They don't rush someone's thoughts. They wait. They lean in. This teaches an essential truth. To understand someone, you must slow down. Patience here becomes empathy in motion. When it comes to dreams and ambition, elders offer a radically different tempo. The young chase multiple goals, trying to become something quickly. Elders ask, who are you when nothing is happening? Can you stay steady when progress is invisible? They teach that ambition without patience leads to anxiety, that goals pursued too quickly can collapse under pressure. Elders know of musicians who peaked too early, entrepreneurs who burned out, and prodigies who lost joy. They advocate for slow mastery, the kind that can last decades, not just months. This teaching extends to love and marriage. Elders have seen the arc of commitment. They've lived through misunderstandings, boredom, passion, reconciliation. They tell the young, don't leave too fast. Don't confuse difficulty with incompatibility. Marriage is not a constant high. It is seasons, and the difficult seasons pass, but only if you stay long enough. Their patience has kept families together, allowed forgiveness to bloom, and transformed conflict into deeper understanding. In matters of faith and meaning, elders model patience with mystery. They've stopped needing answers to every question. Youth wants certainty. Elders accept ambiguity. They've experienced enough to know that not everything has a clear explanation, and that peace doesn't always come from clarity, but from surrender. Their spirituality is less about instant answers, more about long-term trust. This slow unfolding of belief teaches youth a different kind of confidence, one not built on knowing, but on waiting. Let's talk about aging itself. It requires monumental patience, watching your body slow down, losing people you love, being left out of cultural conversations. Yet elders do it with grace. They adapt, they let go, they choose presence over regret. They focus on what remains, not what is lost. Their patience with themselves, physically, emotionally, spiritually, is perhaps their greatest legacy. It teaches younger people how to accept life, not fight it. Another lesson: elders show patience with change. The world has evolved in ways they never imagined. Technology, language, culture, all shifted. It would be easy to reject it. Some do, but many adapt quietly. They don't rush to keep up. They take their time, they ask questions, they learn slowly. And in doing so, they show the young that you can grow at any age if you're patient with yourself. Elders are also patient with others' growth. They've seen people change over decades. They no longer judge quickly. They give second chances. They've watched angry children become kind parents. They've seen once selfish people become caregivers. They know that today's behavior doesn't define a lifetime, that people evolve, that the arc is long, and that's why they forgive more easily. Not because they've forgotten pain, but because they remember change. In communities, elders often take on the role of stabilizers. They don't overreact to every conflict. They remind people of what matters. They bring context. They calm tension. This is a quiet form of leadership, rooted not in charisma, but in consistency. Patience gives them credibility. They're not trying to impress, they're trying to serve. Financially, they advise moderation. They encourage saving, investing, living below your means. Youth crave abundance quickly. Elders have lived through scarcity. They know that financial patience leads to freedom, that wealth built slowly lasts longer, that happiness isn't found in purchases, but in peace of mind. Creatively, they've discovered that ideas need time. Whether it's writing, painting, building, or innovating, they've learned not to rush inspiration. They give themselves space to fail, to rewrite, to start over. And they encourage youth to resist the pressure of instant results. They say, create as if you have forever, because quality takes time. In a world obsessed with productivity, elders teach the power of being overdoing. They sit on porches, they watch the sunset, they enjoy silence. To the youth, this looks like nothing, but in that stillness, elders are processing, reflecting, appreciating. They are not wasting time, they are honoring it. Their calendars are not overbooked, their schedules are not urgent, and in that open space, they've found something rare: calm, focus, joy in small things, a walk, a memory, a conversation. Patience allows these joys to grow large. Rushing shrinks them. They don't fear boredom. They know boredom precedes insight. Youth reach for distractions. Elders sit in the stillness. And in doing so, they often remember something important: a name, a lesson, a truth they'd forgotten. patience makes room for remembrance. They don't try to control everything. They've tried and failed. Now they allow. They participate in life without trying to dominate it. This surrender is not weakness, it's wisdom. The ability to hold what comes and let. Patience, as understood by elders, is not merely the act of waiting. It is the grace with which one waits, the composure one holds, and the wisdom to see value in the pause. Over time, they have come to learn that life doesn't always go according to plan, and that is not a failure. It is the natural rhythm of existence. The younger generation often feels they must control every variable, dominate every outcome, and sprint to success as though speed is the primary currency of life. Elders, however, know that some of the most beautiful transformations in life happen slowly and subtly. They have lived through losses and learned that healing does not come overnight. They have seen relationships fade and rekindle over the course of decades. They know that children grow not in bursts but in quiet, imperceptible phases. A tree does not bear fruit the year it is planted. Elders have come to value time not just as a measure of age, but as a companion of character. With every passing year, they learn to trust the process more. Youth may demand quick results, but elders understand that patience is not the absence of action. It is directed, calm persistence, guided by experience rather than emotion. In their younger days, many of these elders were impatient themselves. They rushed into jobs, into relationships, into dreams. Some succeeded, many failed. But from those experiences, they gained something far more valuable than instant success. They gained perspective. And with perspective came understanding that what seems like a delay is often a divine pause, a moment designed to mature us, to prepare us for what's ahead. They understand that everything meaningful in life, love, trust, peace, takes time to build. Elders also know that reacting too quickly can cost more than waiting. They have seen the damage of words spoken in anger, decisions made in haste, and bridges burned in moments of pride. They've watched younger people throw away good opportunities simply because they didn't come fast enough. They've seen marriages collapse because one or both partners lacked the patience to communicate and grow. They've watched friends ruin business ventures because of impulsiveness. These experiences have shown them that waiting is not weakness, it is wisdom. Moreover, elders understand that patience is a form of strength. It is the ability to sit in discomfort, to live with uncertainty, to endure seasons of difficulty without surrendering to despair. Youth may view struggle as a sign that something is wrong. Elders view it as a natural part of life. They have weathered economic downturns, political upheaval, family crises, and personal losses. And through it all, they have learned that things do pass. Seasons change, the sun returns, and the only way to endure is with patience. Patience, they know, is not about doing nothing. It is about doing the right thing again and again, even when there are no immediate results. They have worked jobs they didn't love to provide for their families. They have supported others while sacrificing their own dreams. They have waited for recognition that never came and still continued to do good work. In all of this, they learned that true value is not in applause, but in perseverance. They teach us that if something is truly important, it is worth waiting for, fighting for, and enduring for. Another aspect elders understand deeply is the relationship between patience and timing. They know that even the best ideas, if pursued at the wrong time, can fail. They've learned to recognize when to wait and when to act. Youth often sees patience and opportunity as opposites. Elders see them as partners. Sometimes the greatest opportunity lies not in rushing through the door, but in waiting for it to open fully. They also recognize the beauty of patience in relationships. While youth might abandon people at the first sign of conflict, elders know that every relationship, romantic, familial, or platonic, requires patience to thrive. They've spent decades nurturing bonds, forgiving faults, and learning to accept people for who they are. They know that love is not always exciting. It is often quiet, constant, and requires immense patience. In parenting, they've discovered that children don't grow by being pushed. They grow by being nurtured. Patience has taught them that children will make mistakes, will rebel, will fall. But if given space and love, they often return stronger. They've seen the importance of being patient with a child's learning, temperament, and path. This insight often surprises the younger generation who expect quick obedience or instant results. Elders remind us that human development, mental, emotional, and spiritual, is a long journey. In health, elders have come to terms with their bodies slowing down. They no longer measure life by how fast they can run, but by how deeply they can feel. They've learned patience through pain, recovery, and limitations. While youth sees illness or aging as an obstacle, elders embrace it as another season to be lived patiently, mindfully, and with grace. They show us that there is beauty even in slowness, even in the pauses life imposes on us. One of the most profound lessons they share is about the patience required with oneself. Elders have spent a lifetime learning that self-growth doesn't happen in a straight line. There are failures, regrets, missed chances, but none of these define a life. They have been kind to themselves through their evolution. They have forgiven their younger selves for their impatience, their mistakes, their pride. And in doing so, they teach us the value of patience, not just with others, but with our own journeys. Elders also understand that the world itself operates on cycles that cannot be rushed. Nature moves in seasons, societies evolve slowly, and spiritual growth takes time. They trust in rhythms and seasons, and they don't panic when things fall apart. They've seen it before. Patience, in its purest form, is not about passivity or inaction. It is a quiet, confident strength that allows people to endure, to grow, and to thrive. Elders have spent decades learning how to navigate life's unpredictable tides with grace. They understand that patience is not simply waiting, but how one behaves while waiting. That subtle distinction is what separates the wise from the restless. Young people often mistake patience for laziness, for lack of ambition, or for giving up. But for elders, patience is deeply active. It requires mental clarity, emotional resilience, and the courage to let things unfold as they must. The world doesn't teach patience anymore. It's built for speed, for now. We're surrounded by fast food, same-day delivery, rapid communication, in a society that rewards immediate results. But elders remember a time when writing a letter and waiting weeks for a response was normal. They waited for crops to grow, for babies to be born, for jobs to come, for healing after heartbreak. Their patience was rooted in reality, not illusion. They had no choice but to accept time's slow rhythm. From that rhythm, they found meaning, strength, and purpose. When an elder sits silently through a long conversation or listens without interrupting, they are not disengaged. They are practicing patience. They understand that not everything needs a reaction. They have seen how overreacting, rushing, or speaking too soon often leads to regret. Their years have taught them that sometimes the best response is silence, the best action is waiting, and the best progress is made when you pause before you act. Youth, driven by urgency, often believe that movement is always better than stillness. They want answers, success, relationships, and validation, all now. But elders have learned that anything of true value, love, wisdom, trust, success, takes time. Not days or weeks, but often years. They've watched how time reveals truth and how those who rush often stumble. This understanding doesn't make them slow, it makes them wise. They move when it matters and they wait when it counts. There's also a humility and patience. Elders have faced moments where their plans didn't work out, where their strength was not enough, and where they had to surrender to forces greater than themselves. Through these moments, they learn to accept that they cannot control everything. This acceptance is the seed of patience. It grows when one learns that forcing the world into shape rarely works, but flowing with its current often does. Many elders recall times when they had to be patient through pain, whether it was waiting for a child to return home safely, waiting for forgiveness from someone they wronged, or simply waiting for the fog of grief to lift. Their patience was tested not just in minor inconveniences, but in life-altering trials. These trials hardened them, softened them, and taught them how to wait without losing heart. One of the most profound things elders know is that waiting doesn't mean wasting. Time spent patiently isn't time lost. It's time invested. They've seen how character is built in the wait, how relationships deepen through seasons of patience, and how faith is strengthened not in moments of certainty, but in moments of quiet perseverance. They also know that every generation learns patience the hard way. You can't teach it in a book or lecture, it must be lived. But elders can share stories. They can tell how they waited years for a spouse who was ill to recover, how they stayed in a struggling job to feed their children, how they watched their dreams change and still held on. These stories don't preach, they model. And in modeling patience, they offer a mirror for youth to see what endurance really looks like. The beauty of elder patience is that it doesn't chase timelines, it honors them. It allows life to unfold. It trusts that what is meant to be will arrive in its season, and what is not meant to be will pass without wrecking one's soul. Elders have walked through delayed dreams and unexpected turns. They've seen how something not happening on time can be a blessing in disguise. They've watched life's clock closely and know that some of its most precious hours are those spent waiting in hope. Another powerful aspect of elder patience is forgiveness. Over time, they've realized that holding on to anger only poisons the one who carries it. Forgiveness requires time, and it requires heart. It demands that one sit with pain long enough to understand it. Elders have forgiven those who never apologized, healed from wounds that were never acknowledged, and continued on. They know that revenge wastes energy, but patience offers peace. Elders also see the long arc of time. While youth often focus on short-term rewards, elders understand the long game. They know that the tree planted today won't bear fruit for years. They invest in things that take time, gardens, grandchildren, faith, relationships, because they trust the process. Their patience is rooted in experience. They've watched people rise and fall. They've seen how success gained quickly can disappear just as fast, while slow, steady progress tends to last. They also know the importance of waiting in love. In marriage, they've learned to wait through seasons of silence, to endure times of distance, and to believe in renewal. In parenting, they've waited for their children to understand, to grow up, to come back home. They've held their hearts open even when it hurt, and they've remained hopeful even when things seem lost. This kind of patience is not soft, it's fierce. It's an act of love that chooses presence over pressure. In their final years, elders often become the calm center in the storm of family life. Others turn to them for advice, not because they have all the answers, but because their presence offers reassurance. They radiate a peace that comes only from years of learning to wait well. Their patience is visible in their eyes, in their movements, in their words. It slows the room, it invites others to breathe. It tells the young, you don't have to rush, you're right on time. Technology in the modern world may never again produce generations as patient as our elders, but their lessons still matter. Their stories, their way of being, and their approach to life are a compass in a world that has lost its sense of direction. If youth can slow down just enough to listen, to watch, and to learn, they may discover that patience isn't weakness, it's power, and it's a power worth cultivating. So while youth may have speed, energy, and innovation, elders hold something equally valuable, the steady hand of time. They remind us that life is not a race to the finish, but a journey to be savored, that every delay has purpose, that every pause holds wisdom, that in the stillness we grow, and that above all, patience is not just a virtue, it is a legacy passed down from one generation to the next. So next time you're asked to wait, remember, elders waited not just minutes, but lifetimes and found wisdom in every pause. Subscribe for more timeless truths.